If you're over 50 and you're looking to strengthen and tone your legs while getting rid of the fat at the same time, then this is the video for you. As you get past 40, our leg strength declines twice as fast as the upper body. So with declining strength goes muscle mass, meaning your legs lose their tone and you can start to look flabby and feel very weak. So today I want to talk you through the steps that you need to take to tone and strengthen your legs. If you haven't met yet, I'm Gavin. I co-own New Zealand's only fitness studio for people over 40, and fitness coaching is all I do all day long. Now the first thing that you need to do if you want to tighten and tone your legs is that you must focus on strength training. And in a second, I'm going to take you over into the gym. I'm going to show you 2 great leg exercises that you can do, and you can start with them tomorrow to start building up your legs. So the first thing we need to do is strength train. We need to strengthen our legs, because if we're not using our muscles in our legs, they're going to continue to get weaker. So I'm going to be a bit of a personal trainer for you and walk you through a little bit of a warm-up, and then we're going to walk through the exercises that you need, and then I'm going to talk about 2 other things that you need to enhance your strength training regime, all right? So first of all, when it comes to strengthening our legs, a lot of people over 40, 50, and 60 tend to have maybe sore knees, sore hips, that sort of thing, all right? So what I like to do before I start strengthening our legs is to do a couple of dynamic stretches. A dynamic stretch just means that you're moving your body part through a range of motion to get a feel for it. So if you feel a niggle in your hip or your knee, then you can kind of reassess, do a bit of a longer warm-up before you jump into the exercise. So the first thing we're going to look at today is just simply a leg swing. So I want you to hold a chair for balance, okay? The leg closest to the chair is where you're going to go. You're going to swing that leg through the entire range of movement. So what you're not doing, you're not bending and swinging back and forth that way. You're standing upright, nice and tall, and just letting the leg swing underneath the body. What it looks like from the side is this way. And that's what it looks like. So you can see that I'm not bending and bending back and forward. I'm just letting the leg go underneath, right? The next one I like to do as well is a side swing in front of the chair. However, if you've had a hip replacement or you've got sore hips, maybe this isn't the exercise for you, because certainly if you had a hip replacement you come across, it can cause risk of a bit of dislocation or some pain, right? But if you're all good, you're just going to swing the leg in front of the body. And that's going to get those hips and legs nice and warm. So the first exercise we're going to look at really is a very important compound exercise. It's called a sit to stand. And a sit to stand, anyone can do this. And the idea of it is that you're going to sit down on a chair. Okay, there's going to be varying degrees of this. This is about 90 degrees for me right now. And I'm going to stand up. I'm going to slowly sit back down. We're going to focus on the eccentric part of this exercise, the lowering part, because we're a little bit stronger and we can actually enhance our strengthening of those limbs by doing it this way. You're going to stand up tall and slowly sit back down that way. And you're going to be looking for about 12 to 15 reps of this exercise. If, however, though, that is too easy, okay, then grab a weight or a kettlebell or a dumbbell and do exactly the same thing. Stand up and overload those muscles with some weight, which then takes me into another concept called progressive overload. If you could do these squats, okay, and it was dead easy, you could do 15 or 20 super easy, then you need to add some weight to that, because there's only so many reps you can do before it takes up hours and hours of your time. So using weight is a really important part, and using overload progressively over time is going to be an important part of building up that leg strength. And progressive overload just means you do a little bit more than you did last week, so your muscles can adapt and get stronger over time. So don't go from 0 to super heavy weights. You're going to gently, progressively overload those muscles as you go forward. So the next exercise we're going to look at now is that the first one predominantly worked on your quads. We're now going to work on our hamstrings and glutes, okay? And we're going to do that. We're going to use a little box step like this to do it. And this is a fantastic exercise to work on the backs of the legs and the glutes, which are often very weak in people over the age of 40 and 50. And it contributes to a whole bunch of other issues in terms of lower back and whatnot. But like I said, if you're looking to tone and lose the fat off your legs, then obviously these strengthening exercises are going to be critical to absolutely do that, right? So the way we're going to set this exercise up, you're going to sit down on a box. It's a little bit different to the normal hip bucks that I normally do. And it's actually a little bit more challenging as well, right? So again, what I'd like you guys to do is have your heels close together this way and lift up your toes. And I want you to really dig your heels into the box. And when I do that, you can see the backs of my legs, the hamstrings start to light up, and that's important. This is the hamstrings that we're working on this exercise. Then when we lift our hips up off the floor this way, then the glutes come into play, all right? And you can tell this position is quite a tough position. The legs are working very, very hard. So I lower myself down again, focus on the eccentric portion, the lowering portion, lift it back up and slowly lower it back down again. And what we like to do is about a 1 second up and maybe a 3 or 4 seconds down, and the whole rep becomes about 5 seconds. Come back up and lower it back down. And in terms of sets and reps and whatnot, what you want to be looking to do is 3 sets through. So you may do some squats, and you're going to take a 30-second rest and do the squats again, or 12 to 15 reps, focusing on that slow and controlled movement to get the most of it. And you repeat it 3 times, you come onto the floor, you do this, repeat that 3 times, right? So that will take care of the big major muscles and the glutes in your lower legs to help you strengthen them and obviously tone them. But toning simply means losing body fat and exposing the muscle underneath. So the next thing that we need to be doing is controlling our calories to some degree, because our bodies will basically put on body fat if we consume too many calories. So the first way you can do that is to burn those calories off. And what I like to do is something called body weight cardio, or something like walking, I think is probably the best way. Very risk-free in terms of injuries. You can do it again. I always talk about zone 2 cardio, and zone 2 cardio is simply cardio that you can do at about a 6 or 7 or a 10. So if you really wanted to figure out what that was, you could do it by heart rate, and you could take 220 minus your age times by 60 to 70%, and that will give you your kind of range that you need for zone 2 cardio. And I've actually got a full cardio guide, walking guide for you, right? And that's going to be in the description down below, and it's going to help you plan a full walking plan that you can implement, and it's going to really talk about zone 2 cardio and how to actually do that, right? So visit the link down below to grab that guide. And the other thing that you can do then to control those calories is to start sort of paying attention to the food that you eat, because so many of us underestimate how many calories we eat. I see this all the time, and people think they may be eating the calorie limit, but they're eating way above. And part of that is going to be coming down to maybe weighing out some food portion size, reading the food labels, understanding how many calories that you need. And if you are struggling to understand how many calories you need to do it, then you can simply jump onto an online calculator and just put in all your stats, whether your weight, your height, your gender, your activity, and it'll give you a ballpark figure to understand how many calories you need. Then when you track those calories by reading food labels or using an app like MyFitnessPal or something like that, you then start to understand how many calories you take in, because it doesn't matter how much strengthening that you do or how much cardio that you do. If you don't really control the calories that come into your body, you're going to have a really tough time. And a really good example would be is that you might burn 400 calories off when you go for a big walk, but you could eat 400 calories in 10 minutes just by having a milky coffee and a muffin or a chocolate bar or something. Eat those calories back very, very quickly. But you think that in your mind, because you've done a massive walk and it's spent a lot of time doing it, that you burned off way more calories than you did. And it's really not the case. So my big thing for you is that if you're looking to lose the fat off the legs, is to really understand these calories. And if you have no idea where to start, I've got another free guide for you that you can download, and it's the 10-step calorie deficit blueprint. And that is in the description as well, where you can go to and grab that guide as well. So I've got lots of free guides for all your wants and needs in terms of health and fitness for people over 40. When you put those sort of 3 or 4 tips together, when you strength train, you do your cardio, you control your calories, and you implement progressive overload, you're going to be able to strengthen those legs, tone those legs, and lose body fat at the same time, which is exactly what you need to do. Now, if you're struggling with all this kind of stuff, okay, really urge you to grab some of those free guides in the description down below, and just start implementing what I'm teaching there, and you're gonna have a much easier time, all right? So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna leave a video up in the top corner there, which is gonna help you tone and tighten your arms. So head over to that video there, and I will see you very shortly.